All right, good morning. Good morning. I don't think I'm turned on yet, am I? Yeah, that's a normal voice. Now, my name is Bob Tarter. I'm with NHECM. If you have ever seen me give a wildlife program before, raise your hand, please. Good. Hands down. We love repeats. Now, whenever we have a wildlife program, it doesn't matter if there's 3 people or 1,000. And I've actually done both of those. Whenever we have a wildlife program, there are 3 rules you need to follow. Rule 1, we have to stay seated. We have to stay quiet. These animals that are with me, they're not pets. Some of them think they are, but they're not. So rule 1, little ones, I want you sitting crisscross, applesauce, hands in your laps on the floor. We good?
Turn it off, I think. There we go.
Now we good? Have it on mute.
I think you might turn.
Technology,
No,
don't
we're
you
good, we're good,
love
we're
it?
good, we're good.
Okay. Now, whenever we're on the floor sitting crisscross, applesauce, hands or lap, that's safe. That means you're on base. If you can see my hands, you'll see these animals. Do not worry. I drink a lot of tea to walk around the entire time. While I'm walking around with these animals in my hands, I cannot watch my feet. If you have your hand or your foot in the aisle and I step on it, it's not going to feel good. I'm a big fat guy. Be careful, it starts in your 30s. So rule 1, stay seated, stay quiet. Rule 2, do you think there's anything interesting with me today? Yes, that means you're going to have questions. Questions are great. Questions I will learn. Rule 2 states we save our questions for the end of the program. We go over them as a group. Rule 2 is everyone's favorite because Rule 2 means you get to hang out longer with me. So save your questions. Rule 3, I want to see how smart you all are. I'll be asking you questions. If you have an answer to one of my questions, I want you to raise your hand. We do not holler out these answers. We don't want to scare these animals. Now, these are 3 simple, easy rules. Stay seated, stay quiet. Save your questions. If you have an answer to one of mine, you can raise your hand. Everyone that wants to stay here, see the animals and follow my 3 rules, raise your hand, please. Good. Hands down. Does anybody want to break the rules, make me upset, serve as an example, and go sit outside? No, you can't volunteer them. Now, turn your brains on. We're going to get started. I am going to be truthfully honest with you. My wife just got back from a 10-day trip with her mother in Germany, and I am not completely prepared. I don't even have the right flyer with us today. But we are going to talk about animals in space. And that's what we're going to cover. Because our summer reading program this year is talking about space travel. And we're going to use a lot of vocabulary, so turn your brains on, mouths closed, ears open. Parents, grandparents, caregivers, thank you very much for bringing yourselves and your little ones here for our wildlife program. Please feel free to take as many pictures you like during the program, but this is now time to silence and vibrate your phone. If your phone goes off while I'm talking, you will be volunteered for stuff you do not want to be a part of. I remember you from last year. Now, please feel free to take as many pictures of me and my animals during the program as you care. Post them on whatever social media page you choose to. Just do be aware who is in the background of these photos. Some parents do not want their child on your social media page. You need to respect that. Conversely here, you are a guest of our public library. Our wonderful county is recording us right now. So if you do not want to be part of their social media page, Instagram, Twitter, petroglyph, tough, deal with it. Seriously, I have people complain to me about the way their hair looks on Facebook. I don't have any. I don't care. Now, you are a guest of our public library and Williamson County Parks and Recs here. So I want you to enjoy our program. Now, we're going to get started. The first animal I'm going to get out today is a very interesting creature because I have to wear a glove. If I'm wearing a glove, that means I can get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. We want everybody to have a quality wildlife program. If the program is not doing well for one of the little ones, you can step out into the hallway. The library is still open. But at the conclusion of the program, you must come back and pick up your other ones. I do not take anything home with me I didn't bring. You laugh, ma'am, it happens. 5 years ago, Lexington, Kentucky, a mother left me 4 children under the age of 5 for 25 minutes at the conclusion of the program because she wanted to go pick out her books. I took one of my animals out of the kennel, threw all of hers in one. I'm fine by that point in time. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first exhibit of the day. First exhibit is a very interesting animal with a lot of information, as well as this is an opportunity to see something most of you aren't going to be able to see. I want you all to meet Billy. Say hi, Billy. Hi, Billy. Who can raise their hand and identify? What is Billy? What is it? He's a bat. Not only is Billy a bat, Billy is a mega bat. Mega means big, micro means small. Even though he doesn't look like it right now, Billy here has a 2-foot wingspan. And that's why he's a mega bat. Our bats here in Tennessee are micro bats. Most of our bats don't have a wingspan wider than the space between my fingers. Now this bat here eats things that you like to eat. That's not true of every bat. Raise your hand if you like to eat bananas. Raise your hand if you like to eat watermelon. Raise your hand if you like to eat pineapple. Raise your hand if you like the more exotic fruits, papayas, mangoes, figs, dates, passion fruit, guava. Good, hands down. My 21 and over crowd. Raise your hand if you like margaritas. Raise your hand if you need a bloody margarita already today. Everything we're talking about is made possible because of our bat. Billy here is the straw-colored fruit bat. He gets that name because that straw-colored throat patch you can see right there. But this is an animal that eats only plant material. Plant material's good, but what do we call that consumer that eats only plant material? Plant eater's good. What's our better term for it? Raise your hand. What do we call the consumer that eats only plant material? Go. Very good. Herbivore. Say it, please. We have an herbivorous bat from Africa here. Now remember, vegetarian and vegans are just confused people that don't know how to eat properly, and personally, I think they all are nuts. Now, what we have right here is an herbivorous bat found in Africa. Now, the cool thing about a bat is a bat has a very high metabolic rate. Bats have to eat 2 to 2.5 times their body weight in food every night. So if I was a consumer like Billy, I'd have to eat 500 pounds of food in one night. If I eat 500 pounds of banana, do you think I'll be going to the bathroom a lot? Yes. Take your finger, feel his heart rate and respiration rate right there. Feel how fast it is. And this animal has done thousands of programs. He's not nervous at all. Now, our bat here has a very high metabolic rate. They have to eat 2 to 2.5 times their body weight. But everything in the wild has a job they're supposed to do. Open ears, new word, niche. Say it, please. Niche. And we can always theorize that niche right there. He has a large nose, giving him a good sense of smell. Large eyes to see well as he's flying around at nighttime. But if you watch his ears are constantly moving, constantly listening. Bats are very sociable. On your bottoms, sit crisscross. This bat here will fly around at nighttime and follow his sense of smell. And when he finds a tree full of lots of fruit, he'll land on it. He makes these happy noises. These happy noises will be heard by our other bats, and they will land on it. They live in a very nice carnivores. Now, he either looks like a werewolf or an upside-down chihuahua. But our animals here are amazing to us. Now, our bats in Tennessee, do they look and act like Billy? No. Because our bats here in Tennessee are eating what? What do our bats eat here in Tennessee? On your bottom, go. Very good. They eat a diet of insects. You are an, ears open, new word, insectivore. Say it, please. Insectivore. Now, would an insectivore look the same way as our herbivore here? No. They have a different niche, different job. They don't have a big nose because you cannot smell a mosquito like he can smell mangoes. They don't have the large eyes. The expression blind as a bat isn't true. Our bats have good vision. It's just not their best sense. Listen, sit still. Our bats actually have bigger ears. How do our bats use their ears to find their food and their way? What do we call it when an animal uses sound? Go. Very good. Echolocation. You can hear my voice echo around the room. Our bats will let out a loud, high-frequency sound wave, and they wait for the echo to come back, and in their mind's eye, they see a three-dimensional picture of the world around us. Now, that's amazing to us. Our bats can see a single strand of human hair floating through the room because of the echo it would produce. Now, we have 14 species of insectivore bats here in Tennessee, and they are going to eat only bugs. But think about it. Does a mosquito weigh very much? No. So with that, our bats have to eat that much more food. They have to eat 2,000 to 3,000 mosquitoes almost any given summer night. Good thing or bad thing? Good thing. Now, during winter, do we have enough bugs to feed them? No. So our bats will have to do one of two things. What do we call it when an animal will pick up from one location, moving someplace else? Go. Migration. We have bats that are starting to migrate back down from Central and South America. Think about it. We could be in Belize right now. Instead, we're in College Grove, Tennessee today. Whippy. Next week's Arkansas, so it's going to get worse. Now, our bats will migrate, and they will be working their way back. Now, some of our bats will stay here, and they sleep during that season. What do you call it when you sleep during the season you do not like? Hibernation. Our hibernating bats are already awake, flying around at nighttime. Now, when our bats get ready for hibernation, they gorge themselves on food. They eat as much food as they can to get fat on their body, and then they go to a building or a cave. Now, remember, the droppings of a bat, new word, open your ears, guano. Say it, please. Guano. You like guano, and you don't even know it. A fruit bat's droppings, the guano, is going to be full of seeds. And these animals are actually responsible for pollinating over 2,400 different plant species. A lot of our fruit and nut production made in the rainforest is made possible because of our herbivorous bats. Let's not forget the plant we get tequila from is pollinated by a bat, not a bee. That's why that margarita joke works when we're educating today's youth. And teach yourself Medicaid, like I do. Now, what we have to think about are insectivore bats. When they hibernate during winter, listen, they go to a building or a cave. And when they go to sleep, their heart rate, metabolic rate, digestion rate slows down. But the guano piles up on the floor. We mine this guano. We extract this guano. We use it in our everyday lives. It's in the room with us now. Ladies, bat your eyelashes for me. Active ingredient in your mascara is guano. You got bat poop by your eyeballs, what I'm telling you, ma'am. I know it does. Pucker those lips. Lip gloss, lipstick, the reason that catches the light, that is actually ground up fish scales. The powder on your face so you do not shine is beetle carcasses. That's how you get the different skin tone variations. Very expensive perfume, whale vomit. I don't know why I know this, but knowledge is power, and I want you to have the best of it. Now, our bat here is very special when we think about space because the bat is actually the only true flying mammal. It is the most numerous type of mammal, but the bat is the only true flying mammal. All other mammals are going to be glidivores, and that's what's special. Now, this is certainly our little herbivore. Our bats are only going to be insectivores. Think about this. Do we have carnivorous bats on our planet? Yes. We have some bats that eat fish, some that eat frogs. Do we have vampire bats on our planet? Yes. Do they live here in North America? No, unfortunately not. I wish they did. We could thin some of this herd. What you have to understand, the vampire bat is found in the equatorial rainforests of Central South America and Africa. And in taste tests, they prefer the taste of cows, horses, and goat's blood over human. So if you go backpacking in Nicaragua, take a goat with you. If you forgot the goat, don't worry about it. It's just 2 to 3 tablespoons of blood. You'll be fine. The bat lands on the ground near its host, walks up to it. With extremely sharp teeth, they make an incision in the skin, and as the blood pools on the surface, they lap it up. The saliva from a vampire bat has a natural anticoagulant agent in it. You don't know this because you're still asleep. But they'll drink 2 to 3 tablespoons of your blood. When their stomach is full, they pick up and they fly away. Without the saliva, without the lapping effect, a scab will form. You wake up in the morning with a new mark, not even knowing you fed the animal. We have now synthesized that anticoagulant agent from the vampire bat saliva to help come up with drugs to treat stroke victims. Our wildlife is amazing all around us. 2,400 different plant species are pollinated by herbivorous bats, much less self-medicate with margarita Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to be paired with tequila Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, the next animal we're going to get out is a very interesting space creature because of what is popular now. But this next one is the one that thinks he's a baby. So, bottoms on the floor, crisscross applesauce, hands in your laps, catch a bubble in your mouth. One finger on your lip, the other hand on your hip. We want you to be nice and quiet to see and learn as best as we can from these animals. Hey, you got to go to work. I'd like you all to meet Bradley. Say hi, Bradley. Now, we left Cooper at home. We couldn't pass it up this year. Good, catch your bubbles. What string do you have here, buddy? Now, when we look at Bradley here, who can raise their hand and identify? What are we looking at? He's a raccoon. Now, what you have to understand about this raccoon is he has been with me since he's a baby. But when we look at a raccoon, we're actually looking at our state mammal. Now, there are 4 characteristics that make mammals mammals. Name them for me. Give me one characteristic of a mammal. Remember, characteristic is going to be a defining feature. Give me one characteristic. Go.
Fur.
Very good. Mammals have to have hair or fur. Am I losing mine?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm married. I've given up. I haven't paid for a haircut in a decade. This animal here has a wonderful fur coat. Give me another characteristic of our mammal. Go. Very good. Live birth. Did any of you hatch out of an egg to get here? No. Did your mother cut off a thumb and you grow from that? No. You all were born alive as babies. And when you all were born alive as babies, you'd be a lot cuter to me than you are now. It's true. Babies don't talk back. That one's doing great. Now, Bradley here was born alive in a captive breeding program in East Tennessee. When he was born alive, his eyes and ears were closed. He was blind and deaf. Now, the next characteristic, think about it. We have hair, we're born alive. Give me another characteristic. Go, hon. Take 2 fingers, touch your skin. Are you warm or cold? We are warm-blooded. Now, whenever we get hot, we sweat. Now, I know ladies don't sweat, but you glow, glisten, spritz, sparkle, shimmer, and shine. Some of you do it all at the same time. I started during Dr. Seuss week. I have one more in line. Teachers and librarians are the only people that laugh at that joke. Our raccoon here, when he gets hot, he is actually going to start panting like a dog instead of sweating and perspiring like us for us. Now, let's think about this. You have live birth, having hair, warm-blooded. What's our last characteristic for our mammal? Think about it. It's been very important so far in our program. When you were a baby, before you ate baby food, what did you grow from? Milk. You drank milk from your mama. Deal with it. Now, our raccoon here drank milk from his mother. And at about 4 weeks of age, his eyes and ears opened up. At 5 weeks of age, he came to live with me. Now, he does not remember his biological mother. He actually thinks I'm his mom, which is fine. It helps him as a better programming animal, but I'm dealing with a wonderful teenager right now. You're fine. Now, what we have to think of here, when the mother starts weaning her young, she will still continue to care for her babies by feeding them. She does so by regurgitating food, meaning she vomits in her mouth and the babies eat it. As odd as you think I am, I've never done it for them, but every day, every program, he tries to get me to throw up breakfast. Now, I've never done it for him, but he still tries. Now, I've never gotten a cold or germ from one of my animals. When your snot monsters touch me, I need a hazmat suit. Seriously, 5 of them have been picking their nose while I've been talking. Now, our raccoon here is an amazing creature for us. Now, listen. What we're looking at right here is the same consumer that we are. Raise your hand if you like to eat hamburgers and hot dogs. Good. Raise your hand if you should eat fruits and vegetables. Good. What do we call the consumer eating plant material and meat? What do we call it?
Omnivore.
Very good. Omnivore. This omnivorous trash panda here is a prime example of an omnivore for us. Now look at the way he's built. Long nose gives him a good sense of smell. 2 bright eyes and large ears to be able to find predators. Even at this size, these guys are going to have to worry about somebody trying to eat them. I'm trying to turn them into a bagpipe. I'm Polish, and Polish people make bagpipes out of an entire goat. Now, what you have to think of, these hands, and you can see these are hands. These are not paws. This animal here uses that sense of touch very importantly. At this size, he's going to be using his eyes and ears to scan around looking for a potential threat. He will follow his sense of smell. Most mammalian consumers find their food by that sense of smell. But he also will follow his sense of touch. The raccoon will wash their hands, not because they're that fastidious. They wash their hands because that'll give them a greater sense of touch for them. Now, when you're walking around at nighttime, your hands are going to get dirty. So you wash your hands so you'll have a better sense of touch. You will also wash your hands to keep them damp. Damp hands are more sensitive than dry hands for us. See, he doesn't want to be on the floor with your creatures. Now, this little guy here, would he make an ideal pet for you? No. This creature here is too smart for his own good. We're actually on our 4th version of kennel for this year already for him. It takes him about 9 weeks to figure out how to open the door. And there's nothing worse than when the raccoon opens the door, starts walking around inside the car when you're trying to merge onto 840/65. Now, You can legally get raccoons as pets now in the state of Tennessee. Ask me if you think this is a good idea. No. These animals are way too intelligent for us. Now, the raccoon is also our state mammal because this is a fur bearer. The fur coat off of this thing makes him important for us. Our state of Tennessee could have never been settled without these little creatures. Listen. Listen. The raccoon was a very important food source as well as staple for our early settlers. Once we overhunted the bison and elk in Tennessee, our homesteaders needed to be able to find food and make money. They would hunt and trap these animals for that fur coat, and the meat off the omnivore was a very important food source for them. And we still need to continue our hunting and trapping. Populations, when they get too high, Mother Nature brings in a disease. Mange and distemper are the high ones. And what happens is when people are feeding these creatures by throwing dog food, cat food scraps outside, it lets them grow too accustomed to being around mankind. And if one animal has the disease, anybody that comes up afterwards can be exposed to it. You need to treat our wildlife with respect. Now, beautiful, very odd, but intelligent nocturnal omnivore, our wonderful state mammal of Tennessee. Kennel. Now, the next animal we're going to get out is special because I have to wear a glove. Again, if Bob wears a glove, that means Bob can get hurt. Bob doesn't want to get hurt. Now, the next two are important consumers because they eat only other animals. Meat eater's good. Who can give me that better term? What do we call the consumer that eats only other animals? Go.
Carnivore.
Very good. Carnivore. So parents, help me out with this one. Moving little fleshy things will look like food. So bottoms need to be all the way down, sitting crisscross applesauce. Catch a bubble in your mouth. One finger on your lip, the other hand on your hip. The next one is a very important animal to see and learn from because they helped us travel to space. That's what's so unique to us. We're not like the bat where we have to fly on our own. Catch a bubble. I'd like you all to meet Mark. Say hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Now, Mark here is my favorite North American bird of prey. This is the Harris hawk. The Harris hawk is my favorite. You can't eat that one yet. This is my favorite North American bird of prey, not because of his looks, but he does have a very beautiful color to him. Very dark color over his body, chestnut accent at his wings and legs. Up. Everything poops, that's why I didn't point it that way. Now, what you have to think of, very beautiful chestnut color on wings and legs. Extremely long legs with a long tail fan with a white band on the bottom, white band on the top. Now listen, the Harris hawk here is my favorite, not because of his looks, but because of how they live. These are actually sociable creatures. These animals live in a group or a collective. Now, they're found in the desert Southwest, and the habitat in the desert is going to be dependent on an available water source, a spring, a river, a creek, or a tank. A tank is what a Texan calls a pond. And what they'll do is the smaller, younger, more eager birds from the family unit will fly into the thicket and chase the prey. Prey can be everything from insects, lizards, snakes, all the way up to jackrabbits. And these animals will chase their prey around and around until the time is right, where then they push the prey out of the thicket to where the adults are sitting there. These birds do a coordinated group hunting attack like a pack of wolves, all with a little bitty bird brain. I say crisscross. These animals are also important to us because they hunt in a group and then they rest in a group. In the desert, the only place you can stop and rest is to sit on top of a cactus. One bird will go sit and land on top of a cactus, and with these long legs, they don't get poked by the spines. Then other birds then will come and sit and stand on their shoulders. They stand 2, 3, 4, 5 birds high. It's called totem poling. The top bird there will have the largest field of view. And with that sense of vision, they can see a jackrabbit moving at about a half a mile away. Now, our birds of prey were very important because of how we reverse engineered them to be able to help our planes travel faster and faster to then be able to travel out into the cosmos. These early raptors were used, and we studied their wing length and how they travel through the air. Now, most common bird of prey you're going to see around here is going to be your red-tailed hawk. That's going to sit in an elevated position right by the road, scanning the roadside, looking for something to eat. And then they fly down and grab a hold of it. A very slow-moving creature. This animal here is going to be more like our acceptors, more like our sharp-shinned or Cooper's hawks. These animals will fly and chase their prey down. That's the key for us. Very fast, agile predator. And a lot of our early planes that were making new bounds in engineering were named after. You can only use your own child as a shield. You're doing good. I'm proud of you. Now, the Harris hawk here is a very fast, agile, maneuverable predator. And Mark here, this is only his second day of work with me. He actually came from what we call an abatement program. We're going to get to that in a minute. I'm not going to pick on you, but how many teachers do we have in the audience? Y'all are lying. I love working with teachers. Teachers are amazing people. Now, we all know teachers are overworked, underpaid, and unappreciated. The problem is I think all teachers are nuts and you need medication. There's something wrong with you. Now, whenever I use a bird of prey like this, I feel like a teacher. Now, I buy my animals, feed my animals, house my animals, train my animals, and yet somebody else is trying to tell me how to do my job. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? On Mark's right foot, you can see this little ID band. That identifies him as a federally protected bird of prey. You are not allowed to pet or even possess a feather off of our birds of prey. They were once thought of as a nuisance and shot, trapped, poisoned, and removed. Now all of our birds of prey are protected, even vultures. That's where you got to understand. These are important animals to help out our ecosystem for us. Now, the Harris hawk is a beautiful, agile hunter and a unique creature for us. Perch, you did pretty good for only being on day 2. Now, what you have to think of, all of our birds of prey, we have different types of our birds of prey. We have hawks, falcons, eagles, vultures, and owls for us. And they have an important role in our ecosystem. They keep a lot of our pest animals in check, as well as it is an indication of the health of the ecosystem when we have a good natural predator-prey relations. Now, the next animal is important because, again, I have to wear a glove. If I'm wearing a glove, that means I can get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. Bottoms down, crisscross applesauce, catch a bubble. If you have an answer to one of mine, you can raise your hand. If you have a question, hold on to it. We will go over it at the end. Up. Now, I'd like you all to meet Elle. Say hi, Elle. Now, anybody else a big Stranger Things fan on Netflix? Meet 11. And if you know anything about the characters, you'll understand why we need to be calm with her here. Now, you can kill and eat one in a minute. Just wait. Elle here is our Eurasian Eagle Owl. This is the largest owl species on the planet. And this little girl here is just now 13 months old. So she's not done growing yet. Now, she's going to be very familiar looking to you because she's similar to our great horned owl. This is the Eurasian Eagle Owl. Same genus, different species. Found living in England, east all the way through Europe, through Asia to the Pacific Ocean. Bless you. All the way up into Siberia, all the way down to the Middle East and India. A very widely distributed bird of prey for us. But we have to remember that niche, that job in the wild. When you look at this bird, she's a big bird. But a lot of people think I'm a lot stronger than what I really am when they see her. They estimate her to weigh 15 to 25 pounds. I don't want to carry that much weight, neither does she. This is my biggest bird of prey, and she weighs 5.5 pounds. Birds are nothing but feathers. I'm not even touching skin yet. But for a 5.5 pound animal, does she have large eyeballs? They're huge. They're bigger than mine. And I weigh almost 200 pounds. If you had owl-sized eyeballs in your head, you would have dodgeballs for eyeballs. And if you had dodgeball-sized eyeballs in your head, you'd look funnier. Now, hold your head still. Look up to the ceiling, down the floor, look left, look right. You can move your eyes up, down, left, and right because you have 6 muscles to do so. When you look at Elle, her eyes will never move. There are no muscles to move those eyes. If you had dodgeball-sized eyeballs and the muscles to move them in your head would be so big and heavy, it couldn't stay in your neck, it'd fall off your neck and be behind your shoulders. So the owl's eyes will never move. Instead, do owls have a flexible neck? Yeah. Can she spin her head all the way around? No, it'll pop off. You don't believe me? Try it on a chicken. Where do you think chicken nuggets come from? What you have to understand, our anatomy, all mammals have 7 vertebrae in their neck. Doesn't matter if you're looking at the blue whale, the hippopotamus, or the giraffe. Catch your bubbles, boys. But what you have to understand is our bird of prey here has 14 neck vertebrae. Now, listen, boys, plant those bottoms down. When you move, you look like food for her. What you have to understand is flexible muscles do not have to be any bigger or any heavier. So she has extremely flexible neck muscles, and she can actually rotate her head 210 degrees each way. She will never spin it all the way around. It's physically impossible. Now, the cool thing, boys, listen, is she has amazing nocturnal vision. As well as you see right now is how well she sees on a completely cloud-covered night with no street light. It's called an Alfie. Yeah, hit the bottom right button. Hold on, sister. Because with a kangaroo, it's called a roofie, and not everybody got that joke. Now, our owls have amazing nocturnal vision. But I've seen owls survive in the wild with only one functioning eye because owls actually find their food by their sense of hearing, not their sense of vision. Now, these feathers here are just that, feathers. They make her look more fierce. And on a male, they'll be twice that size. Females like to see bigger things on their males. Her ears are that little crescent shape there on the sides of her eyes. Now, your ears are these big fleshy things. You're hearing my voice, the echo in the room, the air conditioner, people making noise. Elle is not. Elle is actually only hearing where she's looking. She has one ear hole high and one ear hole low by that flesh-tearing beak right there. Now, think about our satellite dishes. They are talking and listening to the cosmos, looking for new things. The physics of that dish is going to be like a funnel, and it is going to attract and concentrate it. You'll watch an owl, sometimes they do that weird little head bob dance. That one ear hole high, one ear hole low is going to be tuned where they listen to a single spot. She will sit very still in the darkness of night. She's covered with feathers because it's a silencing material. And when she finds food, she can hear a mouse breathe at 150 yards. She waits for it to make a mistake. And as soon as that prey breaks cover, she will fly under full power all the way towards the prey, grab a hold of it with these huge talons here, and the prey has no idea what's happening because the owl's wings make no noise. Up. Feel that wind. I know, you can eat a baby in a minute. I'd go for that one. Now. The owl is the ninja of the animal world. They make no noise on it. Now, boys, listen. People are asking me, Bob, why are we not flying Elle around in the program yet? Now, she's a completely flightable animal. She came to me almost a year ago at about 30 days old. She was about that tall. She was covered in nothing but white poofy feathers, was this huge mouth and these huge feet, and she would eat 8 to 10 mice a day. She's just like a newborn. All she did was eat, sleep, poop, and grow. Now, as a fully flighted subadult here, people are asking, why do we not fly around? Now, we talked about mark and how we use our animals for abatement. That's when they deter animals from being around. Now, we're training her for that. But falconry is when you use a bird of prey to hunt for you. Falconers in England, Ireland, and Wales will hunt these big females and get deer with them. These feet here can do 500 pounds of pressure per square inch. She can kill a 50-pound animal. Almost everything you all brought, with the exception of those two, is a food source for her. And we're dealing with a very hangry, high school age female right now. She will eat just about anything in front of her. Now, amazing vision, even better hearing. But look at that sense of smell. Remember we talked about the senses. Does she have much of one? Nope. And with that, one of our owl's favorite things to eat, skunks. Because if you can't smell it, a skunk's actually a very common black and white animal bless its heart, is dumb that nobody else eats. And that's what's cool about it. Now, you'll be able to see that the adults are allowed to pet Elle if they want to, because on her right foot, she has that ID band. That identifies her as my Eurasian Eagle Owl. She's an exotic. She's exempt of that. Remember, with our native bird of prey, we had to follow our federal guidelines. And that's where I feel like a teacher, because I have a millennial in Atlanta, Georgia, trying to tell me how to do my job. Did you get that? That's a millennial idiot. It's an oxymoron, but it's exactly true. You can steal that bit. Now, our birds of prey are amazingly powerful for us. She actually has an extra set of eyelid to protect her eye, that nictitating membrane. But she can stare in your soul, judging you as a person right now. She says you need Jesus or a drink. I don't know which one. Now, Elle here over the next 6 to 8 months is going to molt out her feathers. She's going to change every feather on her body. And then as her adult feathers, she will have a 7-foot wingspan. Right now, she's about 6'2". She weighs 5.5 pounds now. As an adult, she can be up to 8 to 10 pounds. Now, for the former teachers and adults that have a decent sense of humor, if you are a Facebooker, you can fan the company for us. Because we partner with Tennessee State Parks, and we are in communication with Henry Horton to do what we call one of our adult-themed programs. Sounds worse than what it really is. That just rolls off the tongue easy. We did one last November at Montgomery Bell State Park. It was called Wildlife and Wine with Bob Tarter. You walk into the room, you get a glass of wine, I get an animal out, and I talk about it. When I get a new animal, you get a new glass of wine. Best thing about the entire evening, no bloody children. For the teachers, we're going to make it a professional development training, so then you can come in the buses and have a lot more fun. You're going to have to sign a waiver, though, because after 5 cocktails, we're going to talk about some interesting anatomy. Now, our last animal we're going to get out is special because she is going to be walking around on the floor. Now, are students ever allowed to pet one of my animals? No! Because, ladies and gentlemen, look to your left, look to your right. That is the most diseased, germ-covered wildlife you'll ever come in contact with. 7 of your beautiful little snot monsters have been picking their nose and eating it while I've been talking. I'm not looking at them, but that happens. I do not want your germs on me or any of my animals. Adults are allowed to pet because you know personal hygiene. Moreover, if a teacher or a retiree gets scratched, bitten, or kicked, I always find that funny. Now, the last animal here is special. She'll be walking around the floors. Plant your bottoms all the way down. Crisscross applesauce, catch a bubble. One finger on your lip, the other hand on your hip. My animals know how to act as long as our friends act properly with us. This is an important opportunity to see an animal that is extremely helpful in our modern day lives, much less to help us with space travel. Now, I'd like you all to meet Charlotte. Say hi, Charlotte. Now, Charlotte has actually been out of programming for over 9 months and has been a family dog. Now, listen, Charlotte here is a 19-month-old British Labrador. Now, the British Labrador is different. They're smaller, calmer, leaner. They also bark with a British accent. The cool thing about our dog here is it is one of the most important domesticated creatures because this is our first domesticated animal. Walk. Now, the cool thing about our lab, Char, is this animal here is our amazing creature for us. Char, come. Now, what you have to understand, we've learned a lot about dogs. In the last 10 years, we've learned more about dogs than we have in the last 100. All dogs came from the Eurasian gray wolf. Doesn't matter if you're looking at a Chihuahua or a Great Dane. Come. Our dogs all came from it. Now, they were our first domesticated creature. Before we had a written language, these animals came to live with us. Shark, come. Now, what you have to think of here with these animals, we're living in caveman times, wearing animal skins for fur, using sticks for spears, and a wolf got kicked out of his family, his pack, and it showed up around mankind, and they've been with us ever since. A lot of our advancements in our modern world has helped us out, much less it wasn't the first animal in space. U.S. was actually sending rhesus monkeys into space. Now, our first one was one that was actually a sedated animal to be able to go into space. The Russians were sending dogs into space when we were sending primates. The funny thing about the first dog in space from the Russians was she was a stray off of the street. What happened is they had been training a dog, and the dog escaped the day before launch. So they grabbed a dog off of the street to be able to send it into space for us. They used the analogy that a feral dog was going to have thicker fur and tougher. No, they just lost their dog. Now, what we have to understand, we domesticated wolf to come up with dog. Once we had dog, we were able to come up with our different breeds. The Labrador, was definitely one that was helping us out. Now, you'll hear that little click, and that is telling Charlotte she's doing what I want. Parents, positive reinforcement works very well with our little ones. Now, when they get older, negative enforcement works better with this age group. Teachers, I think, should be allowed to take oxygen out of a classroom. They start passing out, they're going to start listening to us. Charlotte has been doing programs with us all last school year. Not the one we just finished, the one before. She started programming with me when she was 16 weeks old, and she did hundreds of school programs. Now, the funny thing about our dog here is the Labrador was actually bred originally as a fishing dog, not a duck hunting dog. You're dealing with a dog that was bred off the coast of Labrador and Newfoundland, 1500s. And they were very good at swimming through the cold ocean waters, retrieving our fishing nets. The dog then was brought back to England, where they were continued to be used as a fishing dog. That's the key to understanding them. They weren't a gun dog until the modern advancements, until the modern advancements of shotgunning in the 1700s. Before that time, we didn't care about the dog's sense of smell. We needed the dog to be able to swim with a webbed feet. You're dealing with a period of time where average life expectancy for someone in England was about 35, maybe 38 years. Average adult height was less than 5 feet. You'd be a giant. Think of that. That's because there wasn't enough food. And the dog was helpful at bringing home more food for us. Walk. Now, you got to understand, by this point in time, we've already done some amazing breeding with our dogs. Think of this. During caveman times or in famine, if you were a bad dog, they ate you. There's no such thing as a bad dog. This animal has been genetically programmed to please us. We have a genetic programming not to leave ours in the wilderness, and there are times it is hard. I understand. I just spent 10 days with mine. I'm glad to be back at work. Now, what you have to understand, the dog has a heightened sense of hearing, smelling, as well as visual acuity. That has happened over a long period of time. Imagine a dog hanging around the cave and a campfire with early mankind. If you could anticipate what your master wanted, they could help you out. And that's where these animals are important to us. The dog has a heightened sense of smell and hearing, as well as that visual acuity. Modern day dog is helping us in all kinds of facets. Search and rescue, ability dogs, diabetic alert dogs. Now listen, I watched Ghostbusters at a very pivotal time in my life, and that line, "back off, I'm a scientist," is at the root of my marrow. There is no scientific proof on how diabetic alert dogs work, but people swear by them, and their lives have been saved by it. There is no difference in odor. A dog's sense of smell is accurate to 100 parts per trillion, not million or billion, per trillion. It's going to be hard for some of the audience here, but imagine 100 seconds over 32 years. That's how good their sense of smell is. We're training dogs now to be able to detect cancer. They can smell cancer cells in a tissue sample before we can even test it in a laboratory. That's what's so amazing about them. But when it comes to the diabetic alert dogs, these dogs are saving people's lives because of a physical tell. There's no odor that you can train these dogs to. Now, you can train a dog to do all kinds of things. Positive reinforcement. Like I said, she started off at a very young age of traveling around visiting schools. She's just been the family dog for the last 9 months. Now, what is also important for her is she is in the process of getting certified to work with my wife. My wife is the executive director of the Mediation Center in Murray County, and she uses Charlotte as a therapy dog. She uses it in everything from truancy with the high school students all the way up to family law. You got two people sitting in a room trying to come up with a family plan. Everybody's very stressed out. Everybody's freaking out. How many of you want to pet the puppy? Exactly. That's what she is trained to work with. Now, She was supposed to be certified already, but then Mother Nature brought her heat cycle, so we have to go for the examination in July. But she is doing well. We just got to tune her back up into it. Now, this is a British Lab. The color here is yellow. People always ask that. British Labs are going to have a very range in that yellow color for us. She even has a little bit of a white brisket on her, if you see. Now, what is special about our dogs is they are our first domesticated creature and have been helping us out. And my favorite joke is, put your wife and the dog in the trunk of the car. Open it in an hour. Who's glad to see you? That's why they're our best friends. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you have done good, as usual. Unfortunately, I got to head down the road and hit the next library today. So if you have any questions, If you have any questions, let's remember, we're at a library program. Go get a book. You can't find a book, ask the librarian, she'll be able to help you out. Parents, teachers, librarians, if you need it, there's contact information from here. You can grab it on the way out the door. For those of you that are old enough and been with me long enough, you'll see a bit of a change. I bought the company 15 years ago. I now travel over 10 states. I visit over 350 schools during the school year. During the summer, I can't get to all the venues that want to host me, and we have to hire other programmers. This summer, we have 4 different programs traveling around public libraries. If you get online, we publish our account. You can come see one of the other ones there. Now, over the next calendar year, we're changing the company name from the Natural History Education Company of the Mid-South, that nobody knew what it was. They just said, Bob the Animal Man's coming, to Animalogy, Animalogy, study of. And that's what we're going to be doing next year. All emails, all Facebook, everything goes at the same place. Ladies and gentlemen, you've done very good, but we're going to dismiss to the library. And when you go to the library, you will be able to get your bookmark with our Eurasian Eagle Owl L on it. They have wonderful information on the back. If you want to, now at the conclusion of the program, you will be allowed to pet Charlotte. But I want you to be good and calm for her. You have done great. Give yourselves one big round of applause, please. Thank you all very much. Have a good day. We will see you again. Thank you.